guys, it's Teenage DC Fan, back with another video, and Batwoman is back with its 4th episode this week, and is keeping things simple along the way. So last week, Kate finally got over herself a little, and decided to take up the Batwoman mantle for real. But this week, she finds out that being the Bat isn't as simple as putting on the costume and looking menacing. So this episode was titled, Who Are You? And without further ado, let's jump right into the episode. Actually, before I get into the big parts of the episode, I think I need to address something. So a few weeks ago, I said that Jacob, or like a couple of episode reviews ago, I said that Jacob lied to Kate all those years ago when he told her the search teams had found skull fragments while looking for Beth's body following the accident that killed their mother. But this week, however, we now discovered that Jacob was the one being lied to by none other than Catherine Hamilton Kane, basically Jacob's wife now, his new wife. So it turns out Catherine's role in Gotham is as the head of a defense company, which for some reason Jacob was working with to search for Beth. And when Catherine saw how much the search was hurting Jacob and Kate, she paid the medical examiner to lie and say that deer bones found by her men were skull fragments in order to stop them from continuing with their endeavor, because she didn't think they would ever find anything, and she just wanted them to give up. She's like, you've wasted enough time, let's get on with their life now. So while this revelation, spurred on by threats from Alice, who's apparently aware of a number of these things that are happening, but it does serve to add a bit of tension to Jacob and Catherine's relationship, and it makes it nearly impossible for Jacob to continue denying that Alice and Beth are one and the same. It's also somehow less interesting than what I originally thought, because maybe it's because I don't care about Catherine or her relationship to Jacob the way that I care about Jacob's relationship with Kate, but having her be the one who lied to protect them doesn't carry the same weight as a father willingly giving up the search for one daughter to spare the one he has left. So yeah, I mean, it's still like shocking, kind of, but not really. I think I actually predicted that, but I don't know. Let's keep going. Actually, side note, Hamilton Dynamics also apparently is the parent company of the Crows, and I'll be honest, I'm currently a little iffy on how the Kanes and the Hamiltons came to know and, work together outside of both families being very, very wealthy Gothamites. But speaking of rich people, this week delved a little more into the extreme divide between the rich and poor in Gotham, because both through Batwoman's attempts to stop a notorious thief in the form of Magpie, and Kate's attempts to date the cute bartender Reagan, who we met last week. And she actually is pretty hot. So yeah. So Kate is successful in only one of these endeavors, and here's a hint, it's not her personal life. Despite starting off the episode by waking up in bed, having sex together, which was a great scene. So they woke up in bed together, and this is Kate's first love interest of the show, if you're not including Sophie, because technically, that took place before the show. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, Kate spends the rest of the runtime learning why Bruce Wayne was a famous playboy, and apparently it's because it was easier to lie about who you were when you weren't doing it with the same person every night. Like, if he wants to have, Bruce Wayne wanted to have sex, but if he has sex with the same person every night, and he actually starts a relationship with someone, it's hard to keep up the lies. But if he has sex with someone different every night, then he can just keep telling the same lies, and becomes pretty easy, because he doesn't care about them. He just lies to them, and then sends them on their way, like, oh yeah, I'll call you, but then he never does. Like, I'll always remember that night, and he probably will. Yeah, we don't really know where Bruce Wayne is, but yeah. And if the specter of Batman is going to loom as heavily as it seems to be, at least they're sticking with the theme of how Kate's approach will necessarily differ from her cousin's. Because unlike Bruce, Kate isn't so compartmentalized. Uh, that word just popped into my head. I don't know. I don't really even know how to say it. I don't know why that just came out, but yeah, that thing. So she struggles with the idea of hiding a huge part of her identity, and it's not so easy to, well, step back in the back closet, so to speak. Because I have to say, I'm glad Kate's queerness is informing more of her character than just who she sleeps with, especially as a vigilante, a person who must, by design, hide their true self from everyone they don't trust. Um, Especially when they have to show fear and be super dangerous and deadly and strike fear into the hearts of her enemies. But how is that unlike hiding your sexuality out of fear that you will be ridiculed, hated, or even killed because of who you are? And that's one of the things that makes Kate Kane such a wonderful and heroic figure, um, especially for who she is, because the fact that she lives her life loudly and proudly, and she's honest with herself and with everyone around her, um, that she doesn't care if it makes people uncomfortable, because it's who she is. And it's why she refused to deny herself at the academy, even though it meant giving up something that mattered to her, and giving up someone that mattered to her. But it's also why she apparently came out of the closet by punching a kid at school who accused her of being gay, and then she agreed with it, but then also punched him. So, that was cool. Sounds like a really great origin story. Um, Definitely not one I would have expected, but still pretty cool. But for all that she is fierce, Kate is also sensible and kind, because she knows that the symbol she is forcing herself to become is more important than her own temporary happiness or comfort, which is why she chooses to once again hide away a piece of herself away, sacrificing to protect someone else. But in this case, that someone else is Gotham as a whole, because, the whole city needs her. They need a bat. They don't care which gender, they just need a bat. And in one of her failed dates with Reagan, the bartender points out a high rise in the center of the city and talks about how it used to be a sensible building that housed regular working people before predatory developers swept in and, changed everything up. Meanwhile, Batwoman attempts to track down Magpie, who's a woman who's stealing priceless objects from Gotham's rich and famous to, as she says herself, put food on the table and a roof over her head. So she's stealing from the rich to give to herself, which isn't quite as valiant as a modern-day Robin Hood, but, I mean, she still thinks she's doing the right thing. And after Batwoman manages to apprehend and unmask the thief, Magpie explains to an equally unmasked Kate that the wealthy of Gotham's protected class don't see those who struggle to make ends meet. And, I mean, that's true. Like, very few people in Gotham are rich, but those that are rich, they don't take the time to realize that all the people around them that are poor, that need their help, because they don't care about them. So That's why there's so many criminals in Gotham, because everybody's poor and they need money to live, so they turn to a life of crime. And then the show has been setting up this idea of the two Gothams little by little in each episode since the premiere, with Mary largely serving as the bridge between them. And it was nice to deal with it a little more directly this week as Kate starts to peel back some of those layers and eventually decides that her public persona will be working with Luke to create a little more housing security for, those who might otherwise find themselves forced out of their homes. But that being said, man was on the nose. Here's hoping they smooth out the dialogue as Kate and Batwoman venture further into the less protected parts of the city going forward. So the rest of the episode, while it was generally solid, was really quite simple, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because it was really straightforward and it chose to focus on the mechanics of being the new Bat in town. And while that meant very little at the time, very little time with most of the well-established cast this week, it did mean spending a lot more of that time with Luke, who finally got a turn to actually do something in this episode. Even if his story remains a little shrouded in mystery, just how closely did he work with Batman after all? Was he basically Alfred? And, why wasn't his father, Lucius Fox, the one working with Batman and instead of his son? But anyway, he's learning more about the Batcave and the various weapons and gadgets at his and Kate's disposal, while they both learn how to trust each other and work together just a little bit more. And it's nice to see him warming up to the idea of helping her out, but I'm also hoping he gets over his need to compare her to Bruce all the time very soon. He does realize she's doing that to herself already, right? She already doesn't think that she's fit to be Batwoman, but he's not helping with the situation. Not at all. But speaking of trust and partnership, Mary finds herself assisting Batwoman as well this week as she's forced to attend to Alice's right-hand man who's been festering away in Kate's Batcave. And while she's attempting to keep him from succumbing to septic shock, Mary decides a little morphine-induced interrogation is completely within the realm of ethics for a man who previously stabbed her and ruined her favorite plaid shirt in the process. So because this guy was a little loopy, Mary was able to pretend that she was Alice, and she managed to learn that the villain's plan has something to do with a mouse. Though his drug-induced ramblings aren't terribly helpful beyond that. But Batwoman, however, decides the only way to learn more is to implant a tracking device in hopes that he will lead her to him. So, next week, it looks like we're set to fill in a few of the Beth-related blanks between the car accident and the arrival of Alice, as she and Kate come face to face for a little sisterly bonding. And that looks like it's going to be pretty good. But we're going to have to wait a week to watch that. So, I'm excited for that. I hope you are too. Let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of this episode? But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in my next video, so I can bestow all my DC knowledge upon you.